Oh my goodness, there is so much happening this week on the Carolina Weather Group. I barely know where to start first. We're going to recap the big monster snowstorm that hit the Carolinas. We're going to talk about NASCAR's The Clash, which Mother Nature seems to hate. And we're catching up with that guy. He's over there. That's Mark Sudduth. He has some really great video of recent interactions with winter weather. Stay tuned. We're going to bring them to you next. It's like Brady Bunch, Mark. Just look.
That's right.
Right? Yeah, there we go. Roll the I'm James Brierton in Charlotte, North Carolina. Welcome to the Carolina Weather Group for this Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. Hello to everyone who's watching us live on Facebook and YouTube. Hope you join the conversation. And also to everyone who's joining us everywhere else at a later time. We appreciate you catching up on this week's pod. We got Sam Walker out in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, Frank Strait in Columbia, South Carolina, and our guest, the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Sudduth is back to talk about his storm chase. I'm gonna take a huge sip of water. I'm already
It's already
dry air getting you.
Yeah, there we go.
Dry air, yes.
You should see the back of my hands. They look
dude,
scary.
absolutely.
I know, right? If anybody wants to sponsor the show who makes hand lotion,
All right.
drop us a note. Yes. Let's start at this 9 o'clock hour by showing you what's on radar right now, because just before the show, Frank was pointing out to me that there are a couple of MPing reports apparently above my head for snowflakes. And I don't know if I believe it, y'all. But what I do believe is all of the snowflakes happening back up in the Winston-Salem area because NASCAR is trying to get in right now. The Clash, which was rescheduled from this weekend at Bowman Gray Stadium there in Winston-Salem, and it has been delayed now several times tonight because of sleet, to the point where if you're looking for it, they've relegated it to FS2. For anybody that's looking for the race at this hour, and we'll be keeping an eye on that. But we do have some snow flurries across the area, and coming up later in the show, we're going to talk about the forecast for Thursday and for Friday, because we could see a couple flakes of snow. We could see below freezing temperatures and a refreeze. Nothing like what we experienced earlier on in the week, but let's talk to these guys a little bit. Talk to these guys a little bit about what they experienced and saw. Not only with first, of course, the ice storm, but then we had the snowstorm that came on through. We can actually look at some of the biggest snow totals that we saw across the region from the snowstorm, January 30th through February 1st. I'm almost tempted just to read all of these off, at least for the benefit of our podcast audio listeners. But the big winner seems to be Beaufort, North Carolina at 17 inches. Sam, do you have a bigger observation than that?
You mispronounced that.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to say. That's
okay.
South Carolina with the
Yes.
Beaufort,
well,
South Carolina.
Sam Walker is going to pronounce it and then probably host the rest of the show because I'm going to go relegate myself.
I was going to let the Beaufort mispronunciation pass because we saw 18.1 inches Pelletier in Carteret County. That was the winner. They won the pool.
Okay, 18 something you said.
18.1 inches in Pelletier, which is in Carteret County, as I said, down east. Pelletier was the winner, the big winner. And I am surprised to see this chart. And like you said, you'll run through it for the audio podcast, but they left out the top wind gust. And it might be because it qualified as a marine wind gust because of where the station is. But Jeanette's Pier, Nags Head was 64 miles an hour. And we've got video of that coming up.
We do. And my apologies. This is why we have Carolina Weather Group people all over the region, because the all little things like that I should know. Kannapolis, which I do know, it's in the greater Charlotte area, 16 inches. Greenville, North Carolina at 15 inches. Pigeon Forge is not in the Carolinas, but on honorable mention to Tennessee, 13 and a half inches. Winston-Salem, 11. Charlotte, 10. I believe elsewhere in Mecklenburg County, we got higher than that. I think Mark's shaking his head yes.
Yeah.
I think this chart is a good guidance, but maybe needs to be updated a little bit. It is from February 2nd.
Yeah, they are using a very, very good term to choose to describe this. Selected snow report and selected wind gust.
It's a sampling?
Sampling.
It's a sampling. Yeah. Wilmington at 9.5. I skipped Greensboro, which also had 10. Elizabeth City, 9.3. Sam, does that sound right? 9.3?
That's right. Yeah,
okay,
9.3.
Great.
Yeah, that was the Coast Guard base.
Florence, South Carolina, 8. North Myrtle Beach, 8. Duck, 7. Wilkesboro and Spartanburg, both 7. Asheville and Blacksburg, Virginia, both at 6. Athens, Georgia, because why not, at 4. Virginia Beach in Virginia at 3. I mean, I remember we got about an inch or two of snow in Athens when I was going to college there, and we were closed for like a week.
I believe it.
All right. Well, there's a look at the selected snow reports, but we had sites all across the Carolinas, like this one from Tom Miner in the Ballantine area. He got his drone up. I had to give him credit or I don't know, flack for flying in precipitation. I don't know what your feelings on that are, Mark, but I was like, Tom, you're flying into precip here. How do you feel about that? And he was like, well, I keep landing to dry it off. And I was like, okay, but it was a nice winter wonderland this weekend. And I think so many of us experience this one way or the other across the Carolinas. And you can see what that winter wonderland looked like there. Now, both the ice storm and the snowstorm came on weekends, so we didn't have direct impacts on those days to schools. But I just have to say that tomorrow, Thursday, February 5th, will be the first full in-person day of school in Charlotte since the 22nd of January. 2 weeks.
Wow.
In case you're doing the math, Friday the 23rd here happened to be a teacher work day, so that was no one's fault. But we were out on the Friday before the ice storm. And we have not been back for the full 8 hours in person since then, but that changes tomorrow. So
we're on a 2-hour delay here in New Hanover County, and I really don't know why, but I guess the abundance of caution, some cold air is going to be moving in and whatever, but they've been out Monday, Tuesday, and today, and tomorrow, 2-hour delay. It's just like,
I mean,
hey, look, Dare County to North Oregon Inlet, 1-hour delay tomorrow.
Right.
Because a little concern about some refreeze tonight. And it's still a little tough.
And a little freezing rain. That's
exactly. So,
but down here, it's like, reading the wrong Facebook page, people.
I mean, I enjoyed not getting up at 6 a.m. for the school bus, but I was kind of like, when does this? I'm a New Yorker, and I was trying to hold my patience in because I'm turning into the old man who's like, I walked uphill both ways to school in the snow. Not like the snow that Mark got in upstate New York. I'm not that cool. But let's start with some of your other footage, Mark, because you got some amazing time lapse we're going to play right now from New Bern. So tell us what you found.
Yeah, so I grew up in New Bern, and that's Union Point Park. And I went down, put a camera out with our colleague from Columbia, South Carolina, Scott. And I've set stuff up here before for hurricanes and a couple winter storms. So I know the area really well. And I just got lucky with how this worked out, that we captured this bizarre, interesting, it's got to be the Aeolian process in snow, the erosion, transport, and deposition of the solid material there, the snow. But it's interesting because it's in these dunes, if you will, and it's moving along like water. It's acting like a liquid. And then it's all piling up on the left side of the shot there near the river, blowing out into the river. Really, really neat to see, and that was unexpected. That's the cool thing about these cams. You speed up Mother Nature, and sometimes you see things that you had no idea were going to happen.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of what it looks like when you're driving down Highway 12 on Pea Island and the wind's blowing with the sand coming across.
Right.
And it is interesting. You mentioned about it blowing into the Neuse River. I think that was part of our issue out here is we've had so many people say, there's no way we got 7 inches in Duck and 10 inches. And it's like, yeah, we did. It just was so cold, and it was this dry nature of the snow. It all blew in the water because it had no time to stick.
Right. Yeah. And seeing this like that was amazing. When I was on Fox Weather the other night, they showed a shot from New Bern Airport. They got a very similar phenomenon out on their tarmac. The whole thing about the Aeolian process, mainly out in the arid regions of the world with dust and sand and whatnot. I don't know. I mean, it's got to be, related to that. That's the closest thing I could come up with, but it is a solid acting like a fluid.
Mm.
And it is the erosion and transport and deposition, which is the Aeolian process. It's just, to me, it was like, when I saw the time lapse, this is a 1 minute time lapse. NES does that very easily, especially the old version. And there it is. I was like, whoa, that is amazing. And lots and lots of people have seen this. So that was a nice surprise. I like it when we get surprised with our cameras, something unexpected.
We should note that it's the Aeolian process. It's not something that you put on your sandwich instead of AO.
Exactly. I misspelled it in ChatGPT to try to come up with an easy way to explain it to people. And I was like, wait, this is all about no. And then when I said when I put in the correct spelling, ChatGPT likes to talk to you like it's a real person. It goes, oh, totally different universe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's bizarre. What a world we're living in. But yes, Aeolian process. You learn it in geography. If you take physical geography, you should learn about the Aeolian process.
Well, it's so cool to see it happening there. Sam actually sent me your video after you posted it on your Patreon, Mark. So I'm glad when you sent along some clips tonight, I was like, oh, there's Sam's clip that he really liked from New Bern. You went all around the area. How many days were you out there capturing this memorable snowstorm?
So this one, we started Saturday morning. I say it was myself and my 10-year-old daughter. I took her with me, and my oldest daughter, Mallory, who goes to ECU. She's from Greenville area up there doing PT school, and her fiance. And we all went out. She followed along in her Subaru Crosstrek, me and my Tacoma. And I knew that I wanted to get out to Kitty Hawk because I thought if there's an area that could see blizzard conditions, it would be the Outer Banks or something close to that. And so we made our way through eastern North Carolina. Saturday, the snow started cranking up. Then we had that subsidence, and it would be a big lull. And it was so weird, as you guys remember. And then stuff started to fill in. But we got into the eastern side where the low pressure area was from the surface low, somewhere near I-95 or something like that. I don't remember exactly. And boy, it just cranked up. And it kind of reminded me of driving into snow bands off of the lakes because it was that much of a demarcation on radar. I should have sent you some of those radar shots.
Well, we can kind of see it in the snow totals. We can see that big dry slot, and the snow totals. Poor Raleigh got robbed.
Right. So that's a good example there. So we went to Clayton first, where my oldest son and his family live, and they had a little bit of snow early, and then it quit, and they were in that snow hole. And I was like, all right, well, we got to go. We got to get out there. And we literally drove into that veritable wall of snow once we started going east. I think you were on North Carolina 42. Trying to get up to 64 because I wanted to be on that 4-lane 64. Sam, you know that. Like,
yes,
gotta take advantage of that.
Yeah,
and
42 brings back bad memories of pre 4-lane highways east of I-95. So because it's still the way it used to be out here.
Yeah, it was. And then it got dark, and I was like, if we can just get to Jamesville and then Plymouth, and then we had to navigate the 2-lane part where the canal is on alternating sides and. It reminded me of being in the Great Lakes, which is where I was a couple of weeks earlier with Greg Nordstrom. So
is that the New York video you sent?
Yeah.
All right, let's roll that. So yeah, you've been busy. I don't know when you had time to go up to New York with the ice storm and the snowstorm here, but I mean this is like the mother of all snow effects, right? That lake effect.
Wow,
it is. And that's my shadow there. When you can see your shadow, and sometimes you see that with fog, but a very clear shadow in the snow. Greg was just absolutely ecstatic. He teaches this at Mississippi State, and he had never been to see it in person, so he accompanied me, and I learned a lot about the meteorology behind how this works, because I've been up there. This was my 5th time in 6 years, and this area in the Tug Hill region, gentlemen, you've got to do it someday. It is just wow. And it's kind of quiet. It wasn't real windy. And you feel like you're in a sound booth. There's so much snow that when you talk, your sound stops. And I can't, it's incredible. And it just piles up. And then you can drive out from under that band. And you're back into 100% visibility. There's nothing else on earth like it.
I've got probably some free lodging I could take advantage of up there if my cousin Greg and his family are watching, because they're up in Fort Drum, not too far from where you are.
Exactly.
And I mean, those bands, they're so narrow at times, but they could dump like 3 feet of snow at least in some of these places.
And some of these areas up near Adams Center have seen roughly 90 inches of snow since and including the time that we were up there. About half of that fell while we were there. Erie is pretty much shut down right now because it's 90-something%, getting close to 100% ice covered. Ontario, deeper and harder to freeze up. And but the trajectory's got to be right. And it was while we were up there. And then I got back and we had the ice storm. And I went up to Cary for that, and around the Triad area, messing with ice, though. There's Cary. There it is. This is real close to my son's apartment. I got kids all over the place. 7 kids.
I'm going to start mapping them.
I'm telling you. So that's the drone shot there down 55 in Cary. And
another road that one time was just 2-lane path that you really didn't want to be on at night.
Exactly. I remember all interstate too, Sam. I remember. Before I-40, trying to get up to NC State. I was going to visit a friend back in 1989. The week or so before maybe a couple weeks before the big blizzard we had here, there was an ice storm just north of Wilmington. Wilmington was 33 in rain, but once you got to like Warsaw, there was no I-40 yet. I actually took my dad's Pontiac Bonneville and ran it off the road. I had to get a wrecker to come out and save me, and finally made it to Raleigh, where there's like an inch of ice everywhere. And
first Friday, that was the first Friday of December that year. That was the storm that took out the WRAL TV tower. I mean, of all the things that had happened out there, I got my first play-by-play gig because of that ice storm. So
you remember that then?
Yeah. Oh, I remember that storm real well.
And somehow I did that in my dad's old Pontiac Bonneville.
Oh, geez. Big old boat.
And, I was trying to go around a fallen tree in one of those little hollows that you came through on like 50 or something when you were around like, McGee's Crossroads, those areas. And I went down through one of those hollows and trees were coming down. I went around one. I just got mired. And, I'm stuck. So I walked over to somebody's house and come on in, and called the tow truck guy, and the higher patrol came out and monitored everything. And I made it out, finally got on Gorman Street and got over to NC State and visited my friend.
Slide up and down that thing.
I mean, that's where Greg was remarking about. So the truck that we had in New York rented a vehicle. It was an F-150 and it didn't have 4-wheel drive. And he was just like, so many times looking over at me, how are you doing this? And I'm like, I guess it goes back to 1989. If I drove to NC State and back in a Bonneville, I can handle this. So
no doubt.
A lot of years of trying and practicing.
But it seems like when you were in Cary, there wasn't a soul to be found.
Yeah, that was pretty empty. And then I got on 540 and made my way back down towards home. And 540, I know there's not a ton of traffic on it. It's a toll. And that's what some people are saying on Twitter. They're trying to be, oh, there's my son exclaiming he's playing FIFA, in case you hear
okay. I thought maybe he was watching this NASCAR race.
Nope, he's got the FIFA and somebody must have scored on him. That's hilarious. Kids are, there it is again.
I was just like, we might hear mine at some point. So it happens.
But it is, these ice storms are really different because, and really driving in the snow, Mansville, heading out 42, Sam, we're talking about that. While it's happening, to me, that's not really a problem. You have to be real careful. You don't want to get bulldozed too much up, whatever. When it's over, stuff starts getting compacted and it becomes glaciated, as it were. Then it's a real problem. And I don't care. Physics will always win. And you just have to go very, very slow, use that 4-wheel drive, and you just have to be just utterly patient. And so far, so good. I've made it through a bunch of these things and never had a problem.
Mark, you seem like a respectable human being. You must be one of those people who actually cleans the snow off the roof of their car.
I always forget, to be honest. So it's never on purpose.
Oh no!
I was just really setting up a vent because you were talking about like how patient you have to be on the road when you're driving and take it slow. And I was out on the roads and people are driving fast, and then there's sheets of ice, and I'm like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, that happened. I think Greg and I. How far south were we? We were somewhere in stuff. Oh, I know what it was. It was on the hood of that F-150.
Mm-hmm.
Large chunks were coming off, hit the windshield.
Yep.
Went up over the top, and then whoever was tailgating me stopped tailgating me at that moment.
I mean, that was going to be my rant on the show because the last couple of days I've been driving and I've been watching similar episodes even here on Interstate 485.
It's hard to remember to do. That's the thing. I definitely didn't do it on purpose. Greg, I forgot to get the snow off the hood. It was very thick coming up there from New York, and then of course it got all iced down.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, James, you're exactly right. There's laws about that up north. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe the NC State legislature will pass a law that you have to clear the ice and snow off your.
Pass that before a budget.
Whoa, now Sam. Whoa.
That would be something.
You're going to have to do something about these requirements of hours for a school year. You know, they're going to have to work on that now.
Well, actually, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools announced today that 2 upcoming half days that were going to be early dismissal are now going to be full days to try to make up a few measly hours here.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's been an adventuresome 3 weeks after not doing really anything since October. We had no impacts from hurricanes along the U.S. coast this past year, and that's a good thing. Directly, obviously, the waves and whatnot, especially from Aaron, caused a lot of calamity down on the Outer Banks, but no landfalls of hurricanes. Chantal brought heavy rain in, and I was actually down in the Florida Panhandle on vacation with the family. I was like, probably won't be much. And it wasn't terrible, but another inland flooding event for the Triangle area. So I've had kind of a slow year hurricane season wise. And when this popped up, this pattern change, I thought now's the time. And I started off with Greg, as I mentioned, and had the ice storm with my daughter and my other. It's been a family affair, really, in the Carolinas. Cool. And we're ready for spring now. The Sudduths with everybody else.
Can we shovel some 85 and sunny, please?
Please, right.
You mentioned Chantal. I'm just going to briefly let folks know that the National Hurricane Center came out with their in-depth analysis and report of Chantal today. I think we'll look at more next week. Yeah, I'll read some of the highlights real fast here. Total damages estimated to be $500 million. Fatalities directly associated with the storm, 6.
Wow.
Peak intensity was 58 miles an hour, which is incredible because the snowstorm actually had a higher number. Yeah, let's see. There was, of course, 12.9 inches of rain recorded near Pittsboro in North Carolina.
Yep.
The heavy rain caused record-breaking crests. The Eno River reached 23.04, the highest ever, and the Haw reached 23.3, exceeding the record set by Fran in 96.
That's
highest observed sustained winds on land was 41 knots in Myrtle Beach. If somebody wants to do the math on knots.
Yeah, about 47 miles per hour.
Yeah, 47.
Spawned 5 tornadoes. Notable damage, of course, to the Raleigh Executive Jetport. I mentioned the 6 deaths. The 4 deaths involved individuals in a vehicle swept away by floodwaters. 2 deaths were drowning victims canoeing on a lake. There was also a rip current death on July 4th that was unrelated directly to the cyclone. $500 million in damage from flooding. Orange County exceeded $30 million. Impacts included over 80 flooded roadways, water rescues, power outages affecting 20,000. I said we were going to talk about it more last week, but ChatGPT made my life pretty easy by spitting out all those bullet points for me.
Well, that TCR, I mean, I didn't notice that it came out today. It got past me. I do a daily show called Talking Weather, and definitely need to discuss that tomorrow. So I'm glad you brought it up, James. Who authored that? Does it show who?
I can look real fast.
There's tropical cyclone reports. People want to know what they do in the off season. They don't shut the lights off at the NHC and then they turn it back on again June 1st or May 15th or whatever. They're working on these TCRs and all kinds of outreach and other stuff. But I missed that one. I was down in Florida with the family.
There's a lot going on right now, Mark. It's okay. It's okay. I
missed the storm and I missed the So it just serves me perfect. And now we're full circle. I missed the storm and I missed the release of the TCR.
Let's say the TCR. Oh, well, that would explain it all. Yeah, that explains all the wonderful details.
How about that? Well, yeah, we'll definitely go over that tomorrow. And that's
33 pages.
And it was written by Philippe Pepin.
Yeah.
Who was on Carolina Weather Group once, a long time ago.
Was he Asheville or State?
Yeah, he went to UNC Asheville. His undergrad was there, and then he did post-grad. The guy got his PhD from Albany.
And I think our Tim Armstrong here at the WFO Wilmington went to UNC Asheville. He lives literally a mile from my house, if that.
With me.
Really? How about that?
They were there at the same time.
I visit the Armstrongs often. Regale them with my tales of extraordinary weather adventures.
Mark,
fascinating. I'm glad you brought that up, James.
It's great bedtime reading tonight as you get ready for bed. You're of course welcome to stick around. We have lots of other things to talk about this week. Did you have anything else winter, ice, storm, snow chasing related you wanted to make sure you shared tonight before I transition to some other probably related topic?
I do think it's interesting that Wilmington, just speaking of my hometown here, had 2 significant snows now 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
And because it seems like it's been a while and we're starting to wonder if we're going to get snow again. And is the whole climate change thing really shifting the snow away? And then boom, 2 years in a row of pretty good snow. And one more thing about Wilmington, so it says 9.5 there. I believe officially at the airport, at the WFO office, I think it was like 5.8. And the gradient down here, even in New Hanover County, as small as we are, was pretty substantial. Mm-hmm. And then you go over to Brunswick County, there's areas there, I think, that exceeded a foot. So just a wild and wacky storm.
It's a very wild and wacky storm between the hybrid component of it and then the banding. Right. Like your neighbor down the street probably didn't get the same amount of snow as you did. I'm in southern Mecklenburg County. I'm in Matthews. I'm like practically in Union County. And we got 6, 7, 8 inches, depending on where I measured on my lawn. But the north side of the county got 11, 12 inches just because we're so tall and the gradient was so large. Just pretty wild, crazy stuff.
Yeah, good to chat about all that. I'll definitely hang out with you guys, see what else.
Yeah. Cool.
So on your mind.
Yeah, well, I'm going to pop up the outside camera here, my Nest Cam, at our HQ, because as we talked about at the beginning of the show, we're getting reportedly a couple snowflakes across the area on this Wednesday. It's hard to tell exactly what form of precip that is. That feels like rain to me, but I guess I could go step outside and look to be sure. But let's talk a little bit about NASCAR's The Clash, which just finished moments ago at Bowman Gray Stadium there in Winston-Salem. Here is a look right now at the city-owned track. This race was supposed to happen this weekend. They pushed it back several days because of the snowstorm. And then lo and behold, tonight, they had several delays mid-race because it wasn't just raining, but it was sleeting there in Winston-Salem. Guys, I think Mother Nature has it out for NASCAR.
Well, it tried to scare up a hurricane in the Northeast Gulf that a couple of people are tweeting about the other day. It even made it on the Twitter For You news thing. I showed it on my show today. Something like, NASCAR fans dismiss the threat of a GFS hurricane for the Daytona 500 or something. It's one of those algorithm things. Yeah, the 18Z GFS the other day just lost its marbles, which way out long range. Shocker, right?
Shocker.
Never happens. Well, I was thinking back to the MLB game they tried to have in Bristol and how awry that went. And then watching them try to get this, they got the race in, they finished it. I feel like it took 4 hours. You did. It started at 6 and it's almost Florida, 10.
The NHL had the outdoor hockey game and it was too cold for ice.
Too cold for ice? How does that work?
Well, they actually brought in a tent, a full-scale tent to cover the ice because it had gotten too cold and humid cold.
Right.
Because dry, humid, it doesn't work. Humidity does not work well with ice. It's more of an enemy of ice for hockey than dry air is.
Is there explosions happening now?
No, it's the post race.
I think the end of the race has ended. I think winner circle or victory lane or whatever you want to call it is happening.
Oh, that's the LED. That's the LED. That's the LED light system. Yeah.
And I imagine there are some angry race fans right now because this might be the only place you can actually see this, because the race went from Fox to FS2, and then FS2 just went back to whatever football soccer match it was supposed to have on originally. So this might be the exclusive home of the victory
celebration.
13D09 1600 MLK Drive cam.
Yeah,
that's right. Thanks, DOT, for this look at the stadium.
They did that out in Vegas with some of the cameras for the F1.
That was cool. Yes, I was one of those watching those at times, just because, not because I'm cheap and didn't have the feed of the race on,
because you could.
Yeah, but because I could.
Right.
Yes. I mean, who doesn't love a good remote camera? I feel like this is a good crowd of people to really admire some remote sensing, right? I don't remember where I was going to go from there, but you know what? Thank God they finally finished that race, because now we can move on to the next one. Oh, I was going to talk about Florida, right? Because we had Artemis II out there on the launch pad, and they were supposed to do their wet dress rehearsal this weekend, a term that I hate, but it describes fueling up the rocket and really putting it under load and putting it under stress. And it was too cold to actually do the wet dress rehearsal. And Sam and I talked about this last week. We had the anniversary of the Challenger explosion kind of just hanging out there in the ether as NASA's talking about how it's too cold to do the wet dress rehearsal of Artemis II. So that delayed the wet dress rehearsal to Monday. Lo and behold, they had hydrogen leaks, which they had with Artemis I.
Surprise.
Surprise, surprise. You could probably make the argument that being out there in the cold didn't help all of the SEALs.
Agreed. Right.
So now
nervous engineers.
And the nervous engineers who I'd be real curious to see. They're going to try to do some repairs out there on the launch pad. They've skipped all of the February launch opportunities. We're now looking at March for NASA's return to a lunar mission, the first one since the Apollo program. But I'd be curious to see. They're going to attempt to make repairs on the launch pad. Right. But I guess if they're too bad, they could
undo
they had to roll back.
Right.
They were very pleased that with Artemis II, they don't have to roll back every month like they had to do with Artemis I, because now the batteries can go 2 months instead of just one. But do you remember with Artemis I, we had 2 hurricanes that messed that bad boy up. Karen?
22.
Mm-hmm.
What were the names of those storms?
Good question.
Dear ChatGPT. What was it?
Karen was one of them. I don't remember the other one.
Fiona?
Yeah.
What?
Well, while you're searching for that, I was going to mention the fact, I think I have found it. I want to do a little, can I get, nope. I might be able to pull this, but we will possibly, yes, according to the spacemonkey.app.
Is that a trustworthy?
It is.
App.
Yeah.
Mostly just making fun of the name.
I'm throwing this up here to you, James, if you want to grab this real quick.
Okay.
We in the Carolinas do have the potential of being able to see the Artemis II launch if the timing's right. Of course, that requires a night launch.
Yep.
Preferably,
they're all pretty much night launches.
Well, night launch, yeah, they are pretty much. Preferably the launch that happens, round sunset, just after sunset, or just before. I prefer that to the just before sunrise.
I have done this math. You keep talking. I'm going to pull up the math.
Because we get the reflectivity off of the sun, being able to reflect off the vapor trail. We see them all the time, of course, now with the SpaceX launches that go to the International Space Station, and some of the Starlink launches, because they take a northeasterly trajectory and just go right up the coast, just like the shuttle used to when it would go to the International Space Station.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a chance of being able to see this, just like we're seeing so much. But the cool thing about this is it's going to be as visible as we're getting now with the Falcon 9 launches.
Yeah.
This is going to be even better because we got SRBs, and we've got all kinds of bigger stuff like we did when we had the shuttle going up. That's really going to make it even on just a more easterly track than the northeasterly track that favors our visibility.
I saw the one Artemis I from Titusville.
Wow.
With a couple of my friends and colleagues of our project. And it was interesting because I just set my GoPro down on a rock at some marina place, whatever. Hundreds of people out there, thousands everywhere else. Nighttime launch, very late. And I mean, I saw one of the shuttles in 2007, I think, one of the last ones, pretty far away. But that engine noise, whatever, it took 30, 40 seconds to get to us, whatever it was. Unreal, like totally worth it, and lit up the sky. It was just amazing. Hear all the people cheering. So we're going back, and we were going to go this weekend. And I told my wife, we're on standby. We're ready to go. It's our friend Brent from the Virgin Islands. He's big into this rocket stuff. My friend Mike Farrow up here, who I've known for a long time. We're ready to go. Whatever we got to do to get down there. And the next window, as you mentioned, is in March. But
and I've highlighted the one that I think would have the best sunset. So that second to last column is the sunset time.
Okay. Well, so yeah, throw it in there Wednesday. The April launch window, really, if you look at that, because the first two anyway have a good shot.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely that first on the first. The third possibly might be stretching it on the fourth, but definitely the first and third should give us a chance up here to be able to see something, even as far away as I am. I'll mention, Mark, and I don't know if you've ever noticed this, where we are up here on the Outer Banks and being in Currituck, even being a little bit, not so much farther east, but at least got a lot more ocean between me and Florida. I can actually see a Falcon 9 first stage relight on landing. Have you seen that from where you are? Because I know I have seen it several times now.
Not only have I seen it from where I am, I go out on the beach and see it, but our nest cams in Rodanthe see it all the time.
Yeah.
The most recent one, fairly recent, was just extraordinary. It was Mike went out late at night, like a little after midnight or something, and it was brilliant. Nice not flash, but I think I even put it on our Discord because there was also a weird anomaly later on. It was, I think, an iridium flare. Because I like to go back through the videos and you see all kinds of stuff. But anyway, Sam, absolutely. And a couple of them with the jellyfish look.
Yes. Those are always the best.
The South Cam, there's a family up there in Rodanthe that lets us put a couple cams on their house. We have two on the Rodanthe Pier. And sometimes you can see them come across all the cameras. And it's just, I'm glad you watch those things too, Sam. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, and where I'm at here on the Currituck Sound, I've got 270 degrees of water. So I've got this just immaculate view. And when it's clear, and not only that, I've got Wallops Island as well. So when we get some launches out of Wallops Island, usually it's going to take, something a little bit bigger than what normally comes out of there. The little
sounding rocket.
Yeah, little sounding rockets. Yeah, it's true. They are.
Rocket Lab, right? Rocket Lab setting up there.
Yep. So we're fortunate enough to have that. And I can remember back, of course, during the shuttle era when they at Coquina Beach, which those of you not familiar with Coquina Beach is right across from the Body Island Lighthouse. That was where NASA parked one of their big trailers for every shuttle launch. And that was one of the tracking sites, one of the remote tracking sites during the shuttle era for launches was right there. They would park it right, big antenna that follow you. You could watch it move and follow the shuttles that moved up the coast when it was on a northeasterly trajectory. Those are always some cool things to think back to. How much we could have been Cape Canaveral if things had kind of gone the way things were looked at when Langley was still where everything NASA was kind of, when NACA, started at Langley up in Hampton, Virginia. We could have easily been Cape Canaveral here if things had kind of gone the way they could have gone.
That is quite.
Our stands are too shifty up here, though.
That's right. Yeah, we don't have some of the benefits. Yeah, trying to run a crawler from Duck through Duck,
right?
If it had never been developed, would have been as successful. Maybe going out to Merritt Island.
It's a fun hypothetical, though.
It's a fun hypothetical. Yeah, it is.
Some of you are commenting along with us on YouTube and Facebook tonight. Thanks so much for joining the chat. CJ says they got about 4 to 6 inches. of snow there in Clemens, melting away quicker than some of the surrounding areas. I mean, it really just depends on where the sunlight is with that snow. 7 inches for Amy in Morganton. A couple thanks for the snow coverage that we were able to give you here on the Carolina Weather Group. 2 weekends in a row, special weekend editions of our show. As Sam mentioned earlier, we were out there in the snow this past week, spread out all around the Carolinas, which was a really great perspective. I have a couple more things I want to show from the storm that I think are just some really astounding images, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And in case you missed them, there was a big train versus truck wreck during the storm in Gaston, North Carolina, here in the Charlotte area. I should say no one was seriously injured. The truck had been disabled on the tracks, I think, because of the kind of the way that the crossing is set up in the road platform. So maybe not necessarily tied to the actual snow and ice, but the Norfolk Southern train came along and unfortunately hit the disabled truck. Again, no serious injuries, but I mean, the imagery, I saw this on my social feeds being posted from folks all around the country and the world because it was just kind of crazy to see.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out, was somebody holding their phone while that was going on, or were they wearing a... That's what it was. That's insane that somebody was out there and they're trying to move this truck and they thought, oh, let me turn my camera on here because we think we might get something, and then we end up getting something pretty wild.
Sam, have you met people?
I have met people on occasion. I'm one of those people every now and then, too. Come on.
So true. Well, here's a heartwarming story. The Aviation Division of the North Carolina State Highway Patrol helped transport emergency blood platelets from Wake County to Pitt County over to ECU. There was an urgent need for some blood platelets over there at the hospital, and so they were able to get them from Wake County to Pitt County in an hour by airlifting them during the snow. You can see in the pictures right now just how snow-covered a lot of the roads in the areas were. And yeah, sure, the ambulances on the other side did the kind of last mile delivery, if you will, but this really expedited this critical need, and with a bunch of systems coming together, it's pretty remarkable stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see how much snow was at RDU and some of the earlier shots. I believe that actually is at Pitt Greenville, at PGV. But you could see when they were first loading up there at RDU how much snow was on the ground. But then you see how much PGV got. That's Raleigh right there. That shot there with the you can see with the control tower back behind it. But just shows you how impactful the storm was, and everybody coming together to try and make sure everything functions at least.
Absolutely.
So, shout out to the SHUP.
Yeah, those are some of the heroes of the storm, and some more heroes here in the Charlotte area, the Charlotte Fire Department. Just take a listen to this, guys. I'm going to let it play. It runs like a minute and a half, but take a listen.
What's up, man? I'm all right. How are you? I'm sure. This window. I got the window. Yep. All right. You got the truck? Yep. Nice and easy, okay? Go ahead and hop on in.
Try to step
directly in the middle. All the way in.
Perfect.
There you go.
All right, just sit down in the
bottom.
Sit down
in the bottom.
Ready to haul?
Huh?
This is not football weather.
No. We're a little bit past football weather now.
Yeah.
How long you been out here?
I called, so probably about 45 minutes now.
Okay. All right. Did you get wet?
Just my feet.
Just your feet? Okay. Your feet froze?
I don't know.
Yeah? Can you feel your toes still? No? Can you wiggle them for me?
Yeah.
Do it? All right, what about the other one? Okay. All right, great.
So for audio podcast listeners, what you've been hearing is audio from a firefighter's helmet camera here in the Charlotte area. A driver during the snowstorm had driven their pickup truck into a pond, and rescuers came out to rescue them from a very scary and serious and dangerous situation there, guys. And I thought this was some pretty remarkable video.
How they keep their cool like that. I mean, wow. That's a whole different breed of people. Seriously. Amazing.
Yeah, it's really cold for everyone involved, and you can see the roads just covered in snow, and I'm not even sure what it felt like, but I remember being out there this weekend, nowhere near water, and just thinking about how cold the snow felt. I've been in lots of snowstorms before, but I mean, we were talking temperatures that were so deeply cold that during the day we were in the 20s, and this video comes to us after nightfall.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how he got in there. I'm assuming it ran off the road and just slid, and with momentum, it doesn't take much to go flying in the water. yeah, you can. I think I could see some trails back there where you somehow got in that pond, but still, man.
Well,
hey, let that dry out and it'll be fine.
Yeah, sure. It'll be on a. Somebody will be buying that thing in 6
I'm glad
months.
he's okay though. That's
I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah. And it was just wet shoes. So
yeah. Well, speaking of driving conditions, Sam, talk to us about this gantry out there that you guys caught video of.
Yeah, so that is amazing what we saw there. And it's not the first time we've seen that here on the Outer Banks. So that is at what's called Whalebone Junction. That is the eastern terminus of US 64. It goes all the way across the country, and that's where it ends. It joins up with US 158, which runs pretty much the length of the North Carolina-North Virginia border, just below it. In Nags Head, Jeanette's Pier is nearby, which we get a lot of great video from there and great weather, recordings from there. And during the peak Saturday night when we were getting wind gusts that hit 64 miles an hour at one point, that gantry, which is across 6 lanes of traffic, was vibrating up and down. I talked with the NCDOT engineer who lives here. Just actually, his wife takes care of my grandson, or used to. Runs a daycare, in-home daycare. And we were talking out there at the scene when they were out Monday after the storm, that it broke the flange in the middle, which is where these pieces of big pipe join together. And that flange, which is right in the middle, and I'm going to zoom in on that shot, those bolts are 1.25 inches thick by 4 inches long. It broke 5 of those bolts. Wow. And as you can see, the gap that they had. Now, several of the bolts that are in there now in that video were put in place so that they could lift that gantry, that big metal pipe up and remove it from over the roadway. I had driven under that thing just 3 hours before they closed it. Had no idea that had happened until I'm coming back from a radio station down there in Wanchese, and 99.1 The Sound, shameless plug. And they had closed the road. And I was like, okay. And then I saw the trucks and I saw a crane. I said, oh, I know what this is. Having not seen that video that we showed earlier, having not talked to anybody, it was like, oh, yep, we know what happened. So it's not the first time this has happened on the Outer Banks. We've had several of these over the years that have just flexed in the wind, and they're designed to do that. But when you get constant winds like we do out here, and you get multiple serious wind events out here, eventually these things just have to come down and be replaced. There's 3 other intersections where they've had to do that over the last 20 years since they started putting these up and getting rid of the wooden poles and the wires, which is what they replaced it with. So yeah, that was a pretty crazy, one of the many cool videos that came out of the Outer Banks from this storm. Obviously, the ones that we hate to talk about is all the videos we've got now of houses falling in Buxton after losing 4 since Sunday.
But or Saturday night. Gaining sand, and they are doing so much better up there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that is one thing about the Outer Banks, and I'll wrap it up with this, is that's one thing about the Outer Banks. We're 110 miles of sandbars. That's what we are. They move. They constantly move. We gain sand, we lose sand. It just so happens that the one spot on the Outer Banks that is losing more sand than anywhere else right now just happens to be occupied a mile distance by about 250 houses. That were built when there was 300 feet of beach and 20-foot dunes even 5 years ago. That's what's, that's the saddest part about this, is that how much we've lost over the last 5 years of beach, but also of dune. Those houses there were, a couple of the houses that have fallen weren't even oceanfront houses, folks. They were 2 and 3 back from the ocean that have gone in. And we know there's
anticipating the YouTube comments that come on every one of these segments that we post.
Yes.
Why would you build on the beach? The beach wasn't there.
The beach wasn't there. Yes, these are islands. Yes, these are barrier islands, and they move.
Why do you build on the planet?
Exactly.
Because we haven't gotten back to the moon yet. That's why.
And we could take a whole show and describe and tell you about why they are not torn down and why they're left to stand out there and what's being done and what's not being done. There's so many different things. I will tell you this. Next week, there's a meeting in Buxton just about the beach nourishment project that is planned for this summer. Nags Head this morning awarded their contract for their beach nourishment project. Dare County will be awarding a contract next month, most likely. It'll go out to bid here probably this coming week. Next month, they'll be awarding a beach nourishment contract for that stretch of the Outer Banks. So things are being done, but unfortunately it takes a long process, and the ocean does not wait.
Nope.
No, politics moves so fast. Yes, Sam, I look forward to that in-depth follow-up with one of our most popular topics on the YouTube channel in 2025. And for the people of Buxton, I wish it's not one of the most popular topics in 2026, but apparently it's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
I saw Stormy the Weather Cat pop into Frank's frame down there, and she's been waiting patiently to hear Frank's forecast update because, Frank, we're not quite done with the stray snowflakes just yet.
No, we're not. As a matter of fact, they're actually going on over the western Carolinas now, and maybe even sneaking into far northwest corner of South Carolina, too. Current radar does show some precipitation up that way. And just reviewing the current situation with on the SPC mesoanalysis site, it looks like the temperatures aloft are conducive to snow falling in those higher spots up there. So, and radar seems to confirm that, looking at the dual polarization stuff. So, I think we probably do have at least a mix falling in those little sliver of mountains we have here in South Carolina. But the snow and sleet is going on farther north. Now, as we go through the night, we have a cold front moving through. And if you look at the Storm Prediction Center's mesoanalysis page here, if you know what to look for, you can see where the cold front is. There's the little dash lines are temperatures. The leading edge of that would be your cold front because temperatures cool off kind of dramatically. It's just looking over at my thermometer, it's 52 here in Columbia. And that's right at the leading edge of the front. Last I checked, GSP Airport was 39. So there's definitely a cold front between here and there, and that's pushing south tonight, with colder air coming in behind that. But if you look at the weather satellite, I can show you there's another little upper level disturbance here that's back over Tennessee and Kentucky right now. That's pushing eastward, and that's responsible for this scattering of shower activity that we have behind the cold front now. And all that's going to push eastward as we go through the night. As colder air pushes in and we still have precipitation lingering, it looks like we're going to see a little bit of light snow occurring across mostly North Carolina, but sneaking into South Carolina a little bit too. So how does that look? Let's look at the computer models here. This is roughly the current time on the 0Z run of the HUR model. So this is the most recent run of this mesoscale model, and it shows this precipitation ongoing through much of the night. This is 7 a.m. tomorrow, showing the blue being the light snow flurries. This, by the way, from tropicaltidbits.com. Nice website to look at model output. Just keep in mind, model output's not a forecast. It's just model output. It's a tool for forecasting. It's not a forecast in and of itself. But anyway, this particular model showing some snow occurring still over upstate South Carolina, mainly just flurries, but a few spots can see the ground get coated. Same case up in North Carolina. Eastern North Carolina, though, looks like we could see temperatures fall below freezing at the surface before they do aloft. And you know what that means? That means you have liquid reaching the surface when it's 32 near the surface, and what falls ends up being likely freezing rain. So there is some concern for some patchy, icy spots as we go into your Thursday morning, thanks to that potential for freezing rain. And I can't rule out a slick spot further west as well. It kind of depends on what model you're looking at. Like, for example, the HUR model, that's its snowfall output. And as you can see, it's not showing very much, but in western North Carolina and the higher ground, yeah, there could be an inch or two. Outside of the mountains, probably not even an inch. Most places seeing maybe a half inch worth of snow fall, which might be enough to whiten the ground a little bit. Elevated road surfaces might get coated and maybe it melts, but then maybe it freezes back up and the snow causes the icy spots on some of the roads here. But it looks like the greatest area of concern for this is going to be along and north of I-40 in North Carolina, but sneaking further south in some areas, maybe even into areas just south of the South Carolina state line. So if you're going out tomorrow, you will have to watch for some icy spots in North Carolina and really the northern part of South Carolina. That can occur in a few spots as well. Even if what falls overnight is just rain all across South Carolina. It probably will be some wet snowflakes mixed in, or some flurry activity. But even if it were just rain, temperatures are falling below freezing over a good bit of South Carolina. This is our lows tonight from the National Weather Service. So roughly a Spartanburg to Winnsboro to Dillon line. North of there, you're going to be at or below freezing for your low temperatures tonight. So you'd have to watch out for some frozen puddles here and there, resulting in an icy patch here and there on the roads here in South Carolina. But obviously the concern for slick spots is going to be further north. So that's problem number one, storm system number one we have to deal with. Then along comes storm system number two we have to deal with. And that is one of these Alberta Clipper type systems, taking a little bit of an odd path coming in kind of from the north here along a cold front leading an Arctic air mass in. So this gets into the Carolinas here late Friday into Friday night, Saturday morning, and some cold air gets dumped into mostly areas off to our north and east, but we kind of get a glancing blow of Arctic air in the Carolinas, especially North Carolina, for the weekend with this. But the thing is, with this little disturbance moving through, it has just enough moisture with it for maybe some flurries in North Carolina. I don't think we get this into South Carolina this time. But in the Western Carolinas, in the mountains, there's going to be one of these northwest flow snow events. And that could be fairly substantial in the higher ground in the usual favorite areas for that. Potentially a 3 to 6 inch snow event for those higher spots. Locally, more in those highest spots. Places like Asheville, you don't tend to get a lot of snow, but it could be enough to coat the ground. In a place like Asheville. So y'all be on lookout for that as we go into Friday night and Saturday morning. But thankfully, this second little bit of snow comes in at night. And behind that, looks like we're quiet for the weekend. And then after that, looks like we warm up next week. So looks like we finally get out of this frigid weather pattern with winter storm threats, at least for a little while.
I can't believe that the first day back to early morning school bus here in Charlotte, and I might be looking at a few flakes of snow, believe it or not, on Thursday morning.
Mm-hmm.
That'll
could happen.
Scratching their head a little bit, but and then we'll watch, like you mentioned, those early morning hours for refreezing some of those puddles. They were still getting all that runoff, and all that stuff is going to be freezing up again on the roadway. So thank you for that, Frank, and I think that's going to kind of bring our show here to a close, unless Frank, did you have any urgent tabs that can't wait until
we want to do too many tabs? Yeah, I got a few.
Do we? I think we might have to say goodnight to Mark. I promised him we would have ended 10 minutes ago, and we're still sitting here, which is my fault.
No, that's quite all right, but I do have to go and put people to bed. Terrific show. You guys are really, this is amazing. I'm really happy for you and the people watching. You get a great quality product, and I'm not just saying that because, well, that's what everybody should say. Like, this is really impressive stuff. Seriously.
Well, we appreciate that, and we appreciate you you being a reoccurring friend of the show, sharing your stories, sharing your visuals. It's always great to see.
I appreciate it. Now, what do I do to exit, or do you drop me?
No, you're stuck here. This is a sentence for life. Just leave us the empty chair. And there you go.
You can steal my gadgets on the back. But yeah, I appreciate you having me on. I'm going to go and put some people to bed and start winding down myself.
That makes sense. Thanks, Mark. We'll talk to you soon. I'm going to roll the tabs open so these guys can close out all of their browser tabs as well. This is the part of the show where we have to wind down our browsers and close out all of these tabs, but let's show them to each other real fast. I don't have any left because I showed them through the rest of the show. So, Frank, you want to power through here and show us what you got?
Yep, let's go. Too many tab number one. The people at the Weather Service office in Salt Lake City are jealous. They're in a drought out there. It's been dry.
Right.
So they haven't had much precipitation at all, but they have had almost no snow in Salt Lake City, which is really weird. Salt Lake City, they're up in elevation, I think 4,400 feet, if I remember right. And they've only had a trace of snow so far this winter because they haven't had much precipitation at all.
Yeah.
So pretty much everybody has had more snow.
Florida's beating them.
North Florida Charleston, their year-to-date snowfall, 1.1 inches. Yep, they got Salt Lake City beat. I got them beat here. I had 3 inches from this last storm. Yeah, everybody has poor Salt Lake City beat on snowfall this year. So
I'm sorry,
they're jealous of us. They called. They want the weather back.
They can have it.
Tab number 2. This is that snow map again, although this is from Jordan McLeod, who has been on the show before too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he paneled for a little while.
Yeah, so he has a nice map from the NOHRSC. Should I pronounce that Norst or something?
That's right.
Anyway,
it's a real hard R.
A fairly high resolution snow map showing these the weird areas of heavy snow. Check over there, just on the other side of the Savannah River, over there in Georgia. There was a weird little band that set up, and the models actually picked up on that. It ended up being even more than the models said would occur over there. Some spots. These purples are a foot. So there's a couple spots north of Athens that had like a foot of snow from that nearly stationary band area just southwest of Augusta. Had 7, 8, 9 inches, it looks like.
Was that associated when we were talking about the 60-mile-an-hour winds that we were seeing in Atlanta at one point? Is that kind of associated with that?
I don't know. Maybe that was weird. Those high winds that occurred in Atlanta, and I'm not really sure what caused them. I talked with the people at the Columbia National Weather Service here and asked them what they thought. They thought it was probably one of these sting jet things, where you and it would make sense given where the surface low pressure area was at the time that sometimes you have air aloft kind of forced downward from like the jet stream levels. Well, not quite that high, but like way up in the atmosphere, gets pulled down, and you end up with high winds occurring at the surface because of momentum transfer. So that was the initial guess, but I'm not really sure that was correct. Maybe it was, but I'm not sure. We know why the high winds occurred out your way, because the storm bombed out over in your neck of the woods, Sam. So you got those 60-mile-an-hour winds. And some of that video that Mark came up with, that was mighty impressive, of those high winds and it's snowing sideways out there.
Yeah.
That was mighty impressive. So anyway, as you mentioned, James, areas just to your north had about a foot. I have an uncle that lives in Kannapolis, says he had a foot. And going toward the Triad, there was a lot of snow there. Raleigh ended up in a rip-off zone, but they still got a little bit of snow. Upstate of South Carolina did well. Rock Hill did well, with about 7 inches up that way, 7 or 8, 9 right along the North Carolina line around Fort Mill and Carowinds in that area. So anyway, nice high resolution map showing what happened. I had, by the way, 3 inches. That's another one of my too many tabs to actually show you all my observations from my Kokoros station.
These are all from just where you are.
Yeah, that's just me. So you can see I ended up with 3 inches. That's the sum of snowboard measurements. At the end of the storm, it was 2.7 on the ground. What was really fascinating about this storm, though, remember how dry and fluffy the snow was and powdery it was? Because in this case, the snow to liquid ratios were really high.
Yeah.
It was amazingly high here in Columbia for a couple of observations. I did these every 3 hours, starting at 10 a.m. To line up with multiples of 3 Z time. But anyway, for the first part of the storm, 0.05 of an inch, with there being 0.6 of an inch of snow on the ground. So that's 12-to-1 snow to liquid ratio. But after that, we got those dendrites, which result in really high snow to liquid ratios. For 6 hours, I had 35-to-1 snow to liquid ratios. Wow. That's freaking amazing for South Carolina. I mean, I thought that would be just about impossible, but it happened. I measured it myself. 35-to-1. So if there was 1 inch of liquid fell during the storm with snow to liquid ratios that high, it would have been 35 inches of snow.
We've been closed until summer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So anyway, I was really amazed by that, having 6 hours where I ended up with 1.4 inches of snow out of 0.04 of an inch of liquid. That was mighty impressive. Later in the storm, we didn't have as many of those dendrites. It was more needles and low ratio stuff. So the snow to liquid ratios went down later in the storm. And the end result was 20-1, which is still mighty impressive for South Carolina. As we mentioned during our Saturday show and last week, when the snow to liquid ratio tends to be about 10-1 in most places. In South Carolina, 7 or 8-1 is more typical. 20-1 is mighty impressive. And that's what I ended up with. 3 inches of snow out of 1/1500ths of an inch of, when you melted it down, it was 1/1500ths of an inch of rain. So I was really excited about that. Now, one more thing, and we'll take you to Florida for this one. When it gets cold in Florida, the iguanas that are actually an invasive species down there, the iguanas get stunned by the cold. And so the ones that are up in trees fall out of the trees, and it rains iguanas in Florida when it gets real cold. And that happened in the wake of our storm as all that really cold air got driven south into Florida here. So
don't we have at least one minor league baseball team that has changed their name temporarily at times to the Falling Iguanas, I believe.
Yeah. I think I've heard about that. But anyway, down there in Florida, the Wildlife Conservation Commission down there, they're actually asking people, if you find a cold stunned iguana, bring it to one of our collection sites, because they're an invasive species and we're going to hold the population down.
Mm-hmm.
So,
look, the same place has got bounties on boas, so they will pay you to kill boa constrictors.
I have this mental image of
Florida,
Mr.
man.
Freeze from Batman going around and collecting
You're coming with me, Arnold.
Well, anyway, that's my last tab there, James. So,
oh wow,
Sam, do you have tabs?
I got tabs, but I'm not more just general images. So I want to start with. I'm going to see if I can
start by hitting screen share. Otherwise, none of us are going to see your tabs.
I'm going to it right now. I got to get to the right one. First off, I want to share you this one because someone sent me this screenshot from, I don't know, it was probably about 11:59.
Whoa.
On Saturday night.
Is this like when the ice cream machine breaks at McDonald's?
I guess so, because that was what was showing up on whatever app they were using at the time.
Wait, there's so much about this image that doesn't make sense to me.
I know.
Scale feels wrong. Did AI make this?
No, and this is from someone who has really gotten pretty good at AI. He made a pretty neat little poster for SnowBX 2026, but okay. I think it was legit showing up screenshot. This wasn't him doing any.
You know what I think maybe threw me is up there by Hillsville. That's snow. My brain was trying to make that the coast.
Oh right, yeah, no,
like the water and like the whole scale of the region was on.
But yeah, that weird effect that just somehow showed up. And I think it's just like when we're on radar scope and you see it drop out, it just does some weird things. I think that's what that was. So that was one. I've also got this. I got to hit
looks
the right.
Like a cinnamon roll, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it? Yes, exactly right.
Yeah,
ice cream twist or the cinnamon. I like the cinnamon roll one. Let's see. We go to this window here. This is the scene from just yesterday. That's an iceberg, folks. That is literally my backyard with the invasion of every bit of waterfowl. Now that duck season is over, duck season ended on Saturday here in eastern North Carolina. It's rabbit season. No, it's duck. So
I'll show myself out.
You show yourself out. Yes, there is one. There's a youth and military day coming up Saturday. But anyway, that is an iceberg. That's about a 3 to 4 foot tall iceberg out on the Currituck Sound that we've had for the last couple of days. And it's just because as in the water there right now, it's probably less than a foot. And it's several things have gone on. One, northeast winds blowing all the water. Like we talked about the coastal flooding that they had in Hatteras Village. All my water went to Hatteras in my backyard. Second, as water freezes, what's it do?
Expands.
No. Yep. But it does things in like bodies of water differently. So what's it done? It's turned into an iceberg. And we had a little bit of wind from one direction, southwest and then northwest, and it's kind of moving around. So anyway, I literally have icebergs out in my backyard right now here on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And a ton of swans and geese and ducks. And it sounds like a party out there in the middle of the night. It's actually pretty cool, to be honest with you. But, and finally, Last tab here I'm going to share. Let me click the right thing and do this one and do this one. This is the last one. This is what it was like after I did my live shot on our Saturday evening show from Corolla. This is what it was like trying to drive home after sunset. I'm not joking. That is what it looked like. It was like being in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon and pulling the hyperspace.
I mean, on the show, you were like, I need to leave now.
Yes. I definitely. I am glad I left when I did, because that was when we started getting bouncing stoplights and all the other craziness that was happening out here during the storm. So
how long did it take you to get home?
Well, I will admit I shot quite a bit of B-roll on the way home, which I have a tendency to do.
I mean, that's craft.
Yeah. There was a stop at 7-Eleven because that was pretty much the only thing that was open. So there was a Slurpee to try and get the caffeine kick to get home.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
The storm, you need caffeine, so you grabbed a Slurpee, which, by the way, has no caffeine. Just
well, yeah. I mean, in my mind it does. So anyway, it's Coke flavor.
Coffee.
No, I can't do coffee. Coffee does weird things to me. So yeah, no.
Okay.
I'm one of those people that can drink Code Red Mountain Dew and not have any impact on me. But if you put a cup of coffee in me, I go completely off the walls. It's the weirdest thing. It's the ADD that's kicks in the full gear or something. But anyway, no, it took me from Corolla to home, which would normally be about an hour. In the summer, that can be about an hour and 20 minutes. In the winter, it's about an hour at the most. It took me almost 2 hours, but that was including some stops. But yeah, it was a slow roll, because by the time I got on the road, we'd already probably had 2 inches on the ground. Just by the time I finally finished up everything that I had to do, because after we finished the show, I had to do stuff for my radio station here before I left to get some updated reports on the air. So yeah,
busy man.
Fun times.
I'm going to close things out with a nice comment we got.
Okay.
From our YouTube audience tonight. Right here.
While you're looking it up, I forgot a couple of tabs.
Oh my God. I want to go to bed. Did you really?
Oh, the drinking game. I forgot about the drinking game.
I can make it really fast. I promise.
Okay. All right, go.
Okay. We had an earthquake in South Carolina back on Monday morning.
What?
Why not?
Why
a little one, 2.3 near Somerville.
Oh my gosh.
Few people felt it. They've got like about 579 reports.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. A few people felt it.
Well, it happened at 11 a.m. or like 11:25. So
that's pretty good.
People were awake, and there's a fair amount of population in the north end of the Charleston metro area. So yeah, a few people felt it, but no damage. The other thing, 2022, was that we were talking about for the Artemis launch that was affected by the
22. That's right.
Yeah, I think it was not Karen, but Nicole.
Okay.
Was one, and Ian, I think, also did too. Ian,
that also sounds possible.
We had to deal with.
Yeah,
I think Ian was the first one, and then Nicole was the last storm of the year.
Right.
All right. That's it.
That makes sense. Okay.
All right. Here's the YouTube comment. Closing that. All right, well, I want to wrap up with this very nice YouTube comment we got. Loved your guys' chat in anticipation of the storm. The discussion of the dry slot was spot on. I'm kind of patting ourselves on the back.
Yeah.
I'm kind of patting Greg Fischel on the back, but it's just, I do appreciate the kind comment and the acknowledgement, because as we've previously talked about, there tends to be a lot of negativity that people will keyboard cat when a forecast doesn't go their way. And so I just appreciate E here writing this in and also coming back to join us pre-storm and post-storm. So thank you for that. I do appreciate that very much.
Those are the little things that people miss when we talk about these systems. And this one, when we go into every hurricane and when we go into every snowstorm, we can make comparisons to 1980 and 1989, and we're going to remember 2026. But in the end, they're all different. They all do different things.
They all do weird different things.
They all do weird different things. And this time we kind of guessed it. I mean, spotted it, that it was going to happen. You're going to have you're going to have that, what was it, lack of subsistence? That was what it was truly what happened between the two systems, and it just happened to be over the US 1 corridor.
Yep.
Lift, that's what it was. A lack of lift. That's what it was.
I forgot to mention earlier in the show, but you can support us here at the Carolina Weather Group by scanning the QR code on your screen and buying a hat, or you can become one of our new Patreon members. A few of you joined us during the storm, and you can unlock some bonus things there and help support the show. Thank you to everyone who does that. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Carolina Weather Group. Thanks to our guest, Mark Sudduth. I'm James Brierton in Charlotte, North Carolina, with Frank Strait in Columbia and Sam Walker out on the Outer Banks. We hope that you stay warm, and those warm temperatures, they will be here real soon. Don't you worry. And we'll talk to you real soon when they're here. So be well and have a good night. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.